Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
Here's the post. Here's the post. Here's the post. The Post Daily Dose. Here's the post. Here's the post. Here's the post. The Post Daily Dose. Here's the post. Here's the post.
Hey, it's go time, Facebook family. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. Today, I had two really good questions that came in, and I'm going to talk about those because I think they're really cool. And I just got off a plane, been flying since 6:30 this morning, so I'm happy to be back home and to be able to chill for just a little bit. Gonna be home all day tomorrow, and then on Thursday I head out to Ohio to a transracial adoption camp, a multicultural, I think they call it multicultural adoption camp. Gonna go drop some big Papa bombs on them and see if we can't continue changing some lives. So anyway, I had to every night I forget like what number I'm on, so I have to go back and quickly look at the why do I always have a hard time with the title, the topic of the night? I always have a hard time with the topic. So I have to go back and look at that. And then I realized I had some really cool comments last night on the Daily Dose. And I think when I'm connected to Wi-Fi, because I was in California when I shot last night, the messages don't always show up. Or maybe they don't show up during the live, they show up after the recording. Not always sure, but always appreciate your comments and your feedback and your thoughts and your warm wishes and your what's up, Big Papas. So never, if I happen to not acknowledge it, just know that I certainly do appreciate it. Hey, good evening, Stefan. Good evening in the Netherlands. So let's talk about this. The first question, this comes from Brian and Kendra, two of our lovely top fan parents. Brian says, or Brian and Kendra say, they have two questions. Number one, what is, and it was almost, I'm not sure if it's the practicality of infusing joy into your days when times are hard, or practically infusing joy into your days when times are hard. So the essence, hey, Kirsten, hey, Deanne, the question is, how do you infuse joy? What's my thoughts around infusing joy into your days when times are hard? And this is a good question. I think a lot of times, if we don't really give ample thought and consideration to a question, we might just kind of, dust over it. But I want to really talk about this for a moment, because there's a couple things that I see, that I feel when reading a question like this, the practicality or practically infusing joy into your days when times are hard. We know parenting is hard. We know parenting trauma is hard. We know that just being parents is difficult. I always think about M. Scott Peck. He wrote the book, The Road Less Traveled. And the very first line is a Buddhist tenet that says life is difficult. And then he says, as soon as you realize and recognize that life is difficult, it ceases to be difficult. And I really like the thought of when times are hard, do we need to infuse joy? See, I think this is important. In fact, I said to a mom just the other day, the one I think I mentioned it to you last night on the Daily Dose, her kids didn't want to do their chores because she's used to giving them consequences, and she doesn't want to give them consequences anymore. And so she didn't know what to do. And that's a hard time for her in that moment. She got 7 kids. And so my question to her was, my response to her was to sit down and get really serious and honest with your kids about how you feel and how overwhelmed you are and how difficult and how stressful things have been in the home. Hey, Brother Barry. And just get really honest with it. And so when I'm thinking about, this question, I like for us to practice authenticity in our homes and with our children. There will be times where you want to infuse joy, and it's natural. Everyone may be a little stressed, and you might be like, you know what, let's do something fun. Let's get out of this rut. Let's get out of this yucky. Let's go have some fun. That's good. That's fine. But then there are also times when the struggle is real, and any attempt at infusing joy is not authentic. It's fake. It's put on. It's forced. And I don't think I'm a believer of that. I don't think I'm necessarily a fan of forcing joy when there's no joy. I'm more a fan of acknowledging that it really sucks. This, where we're at right now and everything that's going on, we're all stressed out, and this just really sucks, and it makes me really sad. And let's just honor what we feel. And when you honor, this is the magic. When you honor what you feel, 9 times out of 10, that heaviness will lift and it will make way for joy. You should not have to force joy into your home. If you're not in a joyful place, you need to spend more time dwelling in your pain. You need to spend more time in your fear, in your sadness, in your grief, in your remorse, whatever, in your anger, whatever it may be. Go into it. Before you can heal it, you've got to reveal it. And you've got to just dig into it. You can't just keep brushing over the surface. We want to do that too many times. We want to try to make light of serious situations instead of just honoring the intensity of what is showing up. Now, I'm all for joy. I love joy. I want us to all be happy because joy and laughter is the other side of attachment. It is very important for creating secure attachment. It's very important for creating regulation. But I really want you to think, when you start thinking about infusing joy into your home, is it coming naturally or are you forcing it? And if you're having to force it, maybe you should spend more time feeling those feelings that are preventing it to begin with. That would be more along the lines of the root. Hey there, Philip. Thunderstorms here in the UK. Ooh, bless you, brother, but that'll make for some good sleep at 12:30 midnight. And that's got to be, Stefan's got to be somewhere around there, 2 in the morning. I think 1 in the morning. Stefan, you probably need to go to bed, brother. Okay, so the next question is, how do we teach gratitude to our children? Love this question. Love this question. Love this question. We don't think about gratitude enough. I spend a great deal of my time in prayer just being grateful. Just being grateful and being thankful. I love this question. How do you teach children gratitude? Here's how we traditionally teach children gratitude. We traditionally teach children gratitude by telling them they need to be thankful. We traditionally teach children gratitude by telling them they need to be grateful. We traditionally teach children gratitude by telling them that they need to say thank you after we've provided them something. Here's the problem with that. All those forced efforts to teach your children to be grateful, to be thankful, to feel blessed, that's not teaching them. You know why? Because they are learning from you. They are learning gratitude from you. They are learning thankfulness from you. And what do you need to do to teach your children gratitude? Become grateful. How many times during the day in your interactions with your children do you stop and you look them in the eyes and you put both hands on their shoulders and you say, I am so grateful for you, and just kiss them all over their face? Or at dinner time, you sit down and everyone's sitting down at dinner time and you just stop for a minute and you just say, I am so grateful, guys. I'm so grateful. You're so beautiful. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. Huh? How many times are we doing that? Let's put ourselves to the test. Let's put ourselves to the challenge. Hey, what's up, Lorenzo? Stefan, dead hot over here. Uh-oh. Ooh, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Man. Ooh. Wow. It's actually rather remarkably cool here in Oklahoma. It's like 80, but in Northern California, it was fantastic. It was like 65. I was still wearing my favorite flannel blankie shirt the whole time. So gratitude. How do you teach your children gratitude? Become grateful. Be more grateful. As you are more grateful, as you express your gratitude, as you show your gratitude, as you share your gratitude, your children are going to model you. And if you continue being grateful, they will continue to model you. And you will hear, if you say thank you to them, you will hear them begin to say thank you back. It's no different than saying I'm sorry when you mess up. How many of us had parents who apologized to us when they messed up? No, not many of us. So guess what happens as parents, as adults, as parents? What's hard for us to do? apologize. If you want your children to learn something, you must become an effective disciple. An effective disciple, the definition of discipline is to teach. So if you want to be an effective disciple, you want to be an effective teacher. In order to be an effective teacher, you want to practice repetition, repetition, repetition. You want to practice modeling. You want to model the behavior that you're looking for. So be grateful, express your gratitude, fall down in the middle of the floor and say, oh, thank you, Lord. I'm so grateful for my family and my beautiful home and my life and this fresh air I'm breathing in and even these 120-degree temperatures in the Netherlands. So that's how you teach children gratitude. It takes repetition. It takes time. And I had one other question. One other question I came in earlier in transition. I want to share it with you real quick. Dad of a 13-year-old foster son who has incompetitive behavior. So he's wet. He's a bedwetter. And let me tell you what my response to him was, and it's on my heart to share this because I think someone's probably out there struggling with this right now. My first response to Dad is, what's his history? How old and what's his history? So he said he's 13 years old, and he's been going back and forth in foster care for a long time, and now he's back placed with this family. And so my response to the dad, and I want you guys to hear me on this because so many times we get overwhelmed with behaviors. And it is the very nature of us getting overwhelmed with them that causes the behaviors to perpetuate. So I said, first of all, just get the kid pull-ups. Number one, I don't care how old he is. If he's still wetting the bed, he's still wetting the bed. At the very least, save your freaking mattresses and save some of that laundry detergent you have to use to clean those sheets every single day he wets the bed. So just remove that shame and remove that embarrassment right from the formula. Number two, and this I utilized this 20 years ago when I was working at a residential treatment facility in Canada. Put him on a potty training routine. Explain to him because of the trauma that he's gone through, because of the way his life has been, how sad it is, of course, but that no one probably took the time to teach him how to go potty when he needed to in the middle of the night. And so what happens is because of the trauma brain, when that repetition of being awakened in the middle of the night and your bladder's full, when that doesn't happen over and over and over again, you don't learn it. So he's got to restore that suprachiasmatic nucleus, that circadian rhythm connection between his brain and his bladder that says his bladder's full in the middle of the night, and it signals him and wakes him up. So I said to Dad, commit to waking him up every few hours. Do that for about a week or so, and then reevaluate. You may do it a little bit less. We'll wake him up every few hours, and you just got to do it. You got to take responsibility. You got to dig in. Set your alarm clock. I've done this before. I will never ask you guys to do something I haven't already done. I will not. Set your alarm clock. Make sure don't drink too much water late in the night. Make sure he pees before he goes to bed, and then set your alarm clock for a few hours later. And you're only going to have to do that once, maybe twice before, you're moving into the morning time. So wake him up. Just say, son, let's get up, go potty. Wake him up, get him up to go potty. And what you're doing is you're reinforcing that connection. And I told Dad, I said, let's do that for a couple weeks, reevaluate, get back to me. He said he'd get back to me. So I just want to share that with you guys. Hey, in any given situation, there are always two choices. Always, always, always. We can continue to react from our same imprints, blueprints of stress and fear and overwhelm. What are your blueprints? What are your parenting blueprints? What are your relationship blueprints? This is interesting. I was talking to a mom the other day about her husband. They're trying to strengthen their marriage and their relationship, and he doesn't have very good blueprints. And I said, he doesn't have blueprints for what you're asking him to do. And she said very honestly and candidly, I don't have blueprints for what I'm asking him to do. Wow, that's good stuff. What are your blueprints? And are you putting too much pressure on yourself to perform a certain way contrary to the blueprints that you have? Sometimes we have tents. We have blueprints for a tent, and we're trying to build a mansion. Well, if you have a blueprint for a tent, you're trying to build a mansion, you're putting far too much pressure on yourself. You need to work on building a trailer house, build a mobile home, build an RV. Right? And then once you build that RV and you feel good there, then start thinking about how you can add on to it, and you can eventually add on and build yourself a house, and then you can build a bigger house and a bigger house. That's how you build on the blueprints, but you got to acknowledge the blueprints that you currently have. And so we all can react and become stressed and overwhelmed from those same old imprints of fear and stress, or we can stop, we can slow down, we take 3 to 10 deep breaths. The most important thing you can do in any relationship, the most important thing you can do in any relationship is learn how to breathe in the midst of stress. Take those 3 to 10 deep breaths. Calm your fear. choose love. God bless each and every one of you. Big Papa loves you, baby. We'll see you tomorrow.